I really like Colossus 3. I don't know why. I just connect with him, yeah.
And he's got.
He told me that he was impressed with your pull-ups, Cody.
Yeah.
I already told you I was impressed with the sword. All right, welcome to TwinCast. We're a podcast where we take an old game, we pick it up, we juggle it around in our hands a little bit, we kind of dust it off, and we see if it can hold up today. I'm here with Clark and Cody, and we've all kind of grown out our beards a little shaggy, which might be a mistake because we're talking about Shadow of the Colossus. I think people can grab on these
that
beards.
is a very good point.
You can see the shagginess, and then people know that you can grab onto that, right?
If you see a weird person in a hole, look from a distance. Don't stick your face right in there.
All right, a little bit about us. We're kind of like we're a podcast where we talk about old video games, kind of like book club style. We choose a game and we play through it and we experience it, and we kind of when we convene together, we have our quorum. We talk about, hey, does this game hold up today, and how are our experiences about it? So today we're talking about Shadow of the Colossus, 2005 PS2 game. So this is actually like the newest game we've ever played. We've kind of set our standard now. It's 20 years in order for us to talk about it. So this is just making it just barely under the deadline because it's October.
Yeah, we actually
I see.
when we were building out the list of games to talk about, Shadow of the Colossus was one of the ones we looked at. Could we actually talk about that? And we were like, oh, October, 20-year anniversary? Perfect.
Yeah.
Made the cut.
Yeah, so I'm excited to play about that. And for those who want to play along with us, next time we're going to be talking about the Simpsons arcade game, another hardcore class. It's going to be our first actual arcade game that we've talked about, so I'm excited about that.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What's the best way to play that these days? Because wasn't there
Probably in
something
the
about
arcade if you can.
Yeah, over at the Nickelcade.
All right. Okay. Perfect. That's great.
I am going to emulate it a little bit on my
Yeah.
PC just to get through and catch some of the stuff. But I
Okay.
think if we can get
Make
to an
sure you
arcade-
spill some soda on your keyboard or your
sticky.
mouse so you get the full experience.
Well, nowadays you go and half the buttons don't work because
Yeah.
these games are so old. All right, well, let's talk about Shadow of the Colossus.
Before we get into it, let's just say right up front, spoilers for this game, because this whole podcast, we're just going to assume that you've played through it.
Yeah, so if you don't want to be spoiled about this 20-year-old game, you might want to just tune out because we're going to go into depth about the ending and stuff.
And spoiler
like that.
for our thoughts, you should go play it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
All right, well, so we've already said it's a 2005 game, and it was developed by SCE, Sony Computer Entertainment, right? And
Yeah,
published by Sony.
Yeah, often they're called Team Eco.
Team
and
Eco.
Is that their official name, or do people just kind of colloquially
I
call
think
them that?
it wasn't until more recently. I think for Last Guardian it was.
Yeah, just the specific team of people they called that team, but they work
And it's like
for
the-
Sony,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
Is that,
sort of the auteur's name is Ueda. Is that
Yeah.
Ueda.
Ueda?
Ueda. However
Okay.
you say that.
Yeah, I know that I've heard it said both ways
Yeah,
on podcasts
yeah.
and stuff, but yeah.
All right, to get ourselves in the mindset of talking about this game, I want us to all transport ourselves back to 2005. What was Cody doing in 2005?
I was in my senior year of high school. Well, I guess I wasn't at this time in 2005. I had just graduated. Spent a ton of time. At that age, it's especially in summers, and PS2 is out, so
Just kind of wandering
it was
around,
awesome.
trying to
Literally
figure out.
wandering around. Yeah, I wish I had an aggro.
Yeah.
But I had played Eco. My cousin got it when it launched, and I just sort of fell in love with that game because just vibes, honestly. It's pretty jank now, but it was so quiet and kind of scary, and I don't know, I just sort of clicked with it. It was so unique, and so I was excited for Shadow of the Colossus and picked it up at launch.
So you had the build up for this game, and
Yeah.
you were ready for it.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. How about you, Clark? 2005.
I had a little bit different experience. So 2005 is the year that I got married, and it was a really busy year, and I was also going to school full time and working part time, and just got married. So yeah, it was crazy. I don't think it was actually 2005 though. I think maybe around 2006. My brother-in-law, who we've referenced on this before, Tim, he actually had the game and he let me borrow it. And I think I played through about the first 2 or 3 colossi at the time, but I was just too busy. I could tell that it was really good, but just between homework and commuting to school and part-time work, I literally had no time to get into it. So this is always this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring that to the podcast, because it's always been on the wall of shame of a game that I never got to. So I was definitely aware of it, and I have over the years heard a lot about it, and I was like, I need to get back to that game.
So my experience is awful lot like Clark's. I mean, I was fairly newly married, but I actually had a child at this point, and I was going to school and I was working part-time. So this completely missed my radar. I didn't even hear about this game till I started listening to video game podcasts like 5 years later or whatever.
I see.
And then at that point, I was like, I got a PS3, and I remember thinking, hearing about it on like Retronauts or whatever, and like, I need to play this game. And I actually bought like the digital version on PS3 and played it a little bit there, but I actually, with how busy I was at school, I never made it all the way through. So very similar to you guys, to Clark.
Yeah.
But Cody, you're the expert here. Tell us about your first experiences of playing it on the PS2.
It was, so immediately I thought it was really cool because, again, the vibes really sort of matched Eco. It was quiet, mysterious, you were alone. I guess in Eco you're not truly alone, but I also really liked, and I remember thinking this at the time, but I remember that I liked not necessarily the control scheme, but like in Eco you have a button to hold Yorda's hand, and as you're holding it,
button.
Yeah, and in this, I just remember I'm like, I'm kind of holding Yorda's hand again, except I'm just hanging on to the Colossus. So I remember thinking that was kind of unique. That and Metal Gear Solid, I always thought like you could do weird things with the controller that you couldn't. And this one has some secret ones. I wanted to ask you guys about if you found any secret inputs, actually.
There's secret inputs. Well, I know.
Not necessarily secret inputs.
I know you can kind of control the camera during cutscenes. Is that what you're talking about?
There's that, but there's with the horse. There's like something that it doesn't tell you in the game.
Well, I know you can get up and ride, like surf the horse.
Yeah,
is that in the PS2 version? Because I saw people doing that, but I always saw videos of that on the remake.
Yeah,
I was trying that out on that. I mean, on one of the things that you have to shoot the bow from your horse. I was trying it out then. That's the only time I really did it.
Is it anything like? Does it change anything?
No, it's kind of cool. You can,
but you fall off.
There are a couple that are actually pretty useful, like utility wise. So if you are stationary on aggro and you pull back on the stick and hit, it's X in the remaster. I can't remember if it is in the original version, but aggro will like kind of buck up and then instantly go into full speed mode. And then if you're riding, you can, I think it's hold back and double tap that same button, and she'll kind of like do this really cool skid animation 180 and then book it the other way.
I think I did that by accident.
Yeah, it's a little bit unintuitive on the controller, but it is pretty cool. You can also, if you hold the R2 or maybe it's R1 in the original version, the hold button.
It's R1. Grab. It's R1 in the PS2 version.
You can hold that on aggro, and Wander will kind of sink low. And then as you're doing that, I can't remember the inputs because I could never do it right, but you hold something and you can tap or go either left or right, and he'll sort of drop off to the side of aggro and ride it. So you can sort of give yourself a little bit of cover, but honestly, those movement ones are so useful. Once you learn that, it's like, you just want to jump on aggro and go down. And I think standing on aggro is just kind of cool.
Yeah.
You do get a little extra height if you jump off at that point, but I don't think it's very significant. It's just a little cool thing.
That's pretty.
But I just remember, going back to your question, I just remember thinking that the controls were cool, that there's a button, I have to hold it. And I remember thinking like Wander, he's probably getting really tired. And after so long, you get tired of holding the finger or the button, or maybe it was just me. Because some of those times you're holding on, especially the eel, like it's so stressful, and I felt like I would always catch myself, especially back then, like realizing I'm like really gripping the controller, and I'm like, okay, I need to just relax a little bit. So I thought the controls were cool, and then I just instantly got hooked. It just with the setting, the story. I was telling Clark this over the phone, but I just got never-ending story vibes, like especially with
aggro.
yes, aggro. Yeah. Oh man, sad. But
I actually, when I was playing it and I got to that point in the game, I actually, I said, this is a lot like Never-Ending Story.
what was the horse's name in that? It had an X or something in it? I always want to say Parthenax, but I think that's Skyrim.
In
The
fact,
boy
I
was
actually said the
Atreyu.
name when I did this before, and it's
It'll probably come to
people.
you.
Yeah.
People who are watching this are
Yeah.
chastising us right now.
Right. But
Atreyu.
Atreus?
I think
Atreyu?
Atreyu's the boy,
Is the
right?
boy?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, just the vibes. I thought the controls were unique, and I just it seems like it should get repetitive, but it doesn't, because it's not just you fight a boss, you go back, and then you fight a boss. There's a big section in between, and you're going in different places around the map. So I was just kind of hooked.
That's talking about the setting a little bit. I want to get Clark's view on like the Forbidden Lands and the setting as you first step into the game. Can you kind of describe the setting of the game?
Yeah, and I kind of came in pretty blind. Like, I knew the general gist of it, but the setting is the Forbidden Land, and when you boot it up, you first get this little cutscene that shows like it's like an owl mask. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like a deity mask.
Yeah,
or
there's like
something.
an owl mask, and there's like fire behind it, and it's telling you like it's like setting the stage for it. And a lot of it, you're like, is this metaphorical, or is
right.
like, what is he saying? Is it real? Like, you never really kind of know. But
And same with the language that he speaks.
Yeah.
You never really clock it, as the kids say. Like,
yeah,
it's not quite Japanese.
but it's like, well, okay, like setting the stage here, and then he does introduce the Forbidden Land in his little speech, and then you watch as Wanderer enters the Forbidden Land riding aggro and carrying mono. And I played on PS2 this time, and it is like especially on my CRT, it looked great. Like I was blown away that like a PS2 game could look like that and render this environment the way it was. And you ask about the setting, and I mean, Cody kind of described it well. Like, it does a really good job make you feel like you are literally a stranger in a strange land. Like everything that like is like you see around you kind of indicates that you really shouldn't be there. And it's I don't know, really good vibe. We keep bringing that up, like Cody said, but it's a really good vibe. And that was the thing that really struck me coming back to it. Was like, okay, yeah, like I was telling Cody when I was talking to him on like, this game, like this world seems pretty empty. And when I first booted up, like, is there really nothing to like do between these points? And that's not literally true. There's other things you can do, but it is mostly empty. But what it is instead is like, instead of like, getting distracted by trinkets or korok seeds or whatever, like it's just you and your thoughts as you were kind of going through there. So I actually appreciated that feeling that you get as you're exploring, kind of solitary, right?
Yeah.
And there's a game that just came out that was remade. It's Dragon Quest HD 1 and 2. And one of the things I always really appreciated about the first Dragon Quest game is it always felt like such a solitary game. Like you're going out by yourself as a solitary warrior. You're like going into these places where you are fragile and squishy. And I kind of get the same vibes from this game.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, talking a little bit more about the Forbidden Lands, I remember when I was watching the intro and you're going across that bridge, and you're like, this bridge is, it's obviously made by something, but you just don't get anything. And then you head up to that dilapidated castle, And it's like, there's a story behind this, and there's a story behind all this stuff.
This game is like the epitome of show, don't tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
okay, well, there's this dilapidated castle, and you're spiraling down into the castle, and then you walk into this chamber, and there's like a place where he lays Mono down, and the gown is like blowing in the wind, and then all of a sudden, like a voice comes to you and starts talking to you,
And you learn it's Dorman.
it's Dorman,
Yes.
and it's all this mystery, and then you kind of figure out what what Wanderer's purpose is here. And Cody, can you talk a little bit about his purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not explicitly said, but Dorman, when you first talk to him, you get the sense that I mean, obviously it's been labeled the Forbidden Lands. You get the sense you shouldn't be there. He's surprised that you have the sword. So you already know that you shouldn't be there, and you're... at first I thought he had stolen the sword or he had kidnapped her or something, but then you sort of learn that Wander's intentions seem pretty pure. So at the beginning of the game, you're like, okay, he shouldn't be here. Obviously, there's some weird stuff going on, but it looks like he's trying to save this girl.
Resurrect.
Well,
Mono.
and all
Yeah.
That's all you know.
He does explain to Dorman that she had a cursed fate.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes, that's right.
That's
Big
like
clue.
that's like the only clue that you have
Yeah.
is that she has a cursed fate. So you can kind of piece like whatever story you want in your mind. I know that kind of a popular theory you read about is that the priests that come later into the game, they were the ones that had sacrificed Mono
I see.
because they had some sort of prophecy that she was going to awaken Dorman. And that's just one of the theories, but it's
Yeah.
never really explicitly said. And so obviously we don't know what relationship Wander has to Mono.
Right.
Are they
I-
brother, sister? Are they
lovers?
lovers? Are they...
In my mind, I always thought, like when I first started, this is not Mono's, but Wanderer's lover. That's what I had in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
But you don't know.
It never says.
Never
So
says. And
you just said like she had a cursed fate is all that you hear. And so you can piece it together, whatever story you want in your mind that mystery, I think, really goes a long way.
Yeah, and you're really, like you said, a lot of the instructions are kind of vague and sometimes seem metaphorical, but you just learn that if you want to bring her back, here's what you got to do, and so you just immediately get into it.
And
All
he warns
says
you.
is-
He says like the price will be heavy.
right?
Dorman
Yes.
says- But Wander doesn't even like ask what the price is.
Yeah, he just goes and
He's like
Yeah.
he's determined. Like he's made up his mind. And I think he knows that what he's doing is going to be is going to be a heavy toll on
Yes.
him. But he's already here. He's already trespassed on the
Right.
Forbidden Lands. He's probably stolen the sacred sword from the tribe or whatever.
Right.
And so he's made up his mind. He doesn't matter like what
No.
toll he has to
He's
pay.
solely focused on Mono and what he needs to do. And one thing that I thought was kind of curious too is, and you sort of piece things together, or I guess it's sort of open for interpretation as the game goes on. But it was always curious to me that Dorman seemed that he was surprised that you were there. You shouldn't be there. And he didn't seem like he knew, or it seemed like he was surprised that you had the sword, either because maybe you're human or because you stole it or you shouldn't have it. However, then he sort of goes into what Wander has to do to bring her back, and he says, use that sword, it will tell you directly where to go, basically. So I kind of got the sense, especially as time got on, or as the game goes on, because you start to feel like you're the villain, and I started to feel like I was also not necessarily a villain, maybe a pawn used by Dorman. I got the sense that he... Wander going into the Forbidden Lands was an opportunity for Dorman to have somebody do
I mean,
his bidding.
let's talk about this. Let's go into this.
This is what's cool because like, it's up to interpretation,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, on a basic level, if you're just Joe Gamer and you're like, okay, he's telling me to go kill these 16 colossi. Let's go do it. So let's talk about that part of the game, because that's the meat of the game. You just have 16 colossi you need to go kill. So, Clark, why don't you go talk about like what just the meat of the game? Like it's a pretty basic game if you think about it.
It's and just kind of an aside before I jump into that. Like I can tell you that like if anyone is in sort of a similar life path that I am right now, where you have kids, you have work, and you have things like Shadow of the Colossus is actually a really good game for someone who has that, because the gameplay loop, it's about like 45 minutes or so, maybe towards the end, maybe a little bit longer.
You can make it shorter too if you find a shrine.
The shrine to save, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like you start at that shrine, or not the shrine, whatever, the temple, the castle temple. You start there, and Dorman says, like you said, you got your sword, point it up to the sun. It's going to direct you where to go, and so you can kind of just beeline it to where you need to go. It's going to point you to the next Colossus. You find the Colossus. You engage with the Colossus in some way. You fight the Colossus. Epic music is going on as you're fighting the Colossus, and it's a little puzzle, and we'll get into that a little bit more. You kill the Colossus, then the dramatic music kind of stops, and you're like...
Tendrils come out.
Well, the first time, I remember this is actually pretty, like, the very first time you do it, and I actually remember this from back in, like, 2005 or 6 or whenever I first played it. I remember specifically, like, killing the Colossus, and then all of a sudden the music cutting out, and, like, the camera kind of pans back, and, like, the big beast falls, and, like, with no music. And, like you said, it's, like, making you feel like, oh, well, what are you doing?
What did I just do?
Like, I'm trespassing on their land.
Right. Did I just kill a one of one creature?
Yeah, so like, but you don't really know, like, and that's the beauty of it, and that's the game.
The statue crumbles, which is
yeah.
another
So
kind
what
of scary
happens is
thing.
like we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, sorry.
But what happens is it falls to the ground. These tendrils come out and envelop Wanderer, and then you wake up back at the temple, and you kind of. Well, the statue crumbles, which that's what Dorman says.
I think before the statue crumbles, there's the shadows that are hanging over your body.
And they do,
depending on how many colossi you've beaten.
So if you've the first one you defeat, there's like a little shadow, like down looking at your collapsed body.
Yeah.
And right before the statue that is I guess it's like it's supposed to represent the one that you just killed.
And there's like heavy organ music playing. I always picture Dorman like playing the organ.
He's up there like in the balcony of a church.
And then it explodes, and then Dorman gives you a little bit of clue where to go next, and you rinse and repeat. So that is really it. And so it's a little bit of a puzzle sometimes when you're trekking out to find the colossi, because I mean it's really basic. Usually you hold up your sword, it tells you head north or whatever. You start heading that way, you come to a mountain. Okay, I can only go left or right.
Right.
And so it's just kind of, you can pull up the map and maybe try to suss it out, but if you haven't been there, then there'll be clouds there, so you just say, okay, I guess I'm going left. You'll go that way for a little while, find out you're not on the right path, double back, go the other direction, and you just keep holding the sword up where you can.
Yeah.
Inevitably, as you get closer, there's not as much sunlight, so you have to...
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're right. And it seems formulaic, and I guess it sort of is, because you do usually have that period where you're trying to locate the arena or the Colossus. Usually you hit a point and trigger a cutscene, so you kind of know you're in the right spot. Usually there's like maybe another cutscene actually showing the Colossus, and then it's boom. And then, like you said, it plays out with the tendrils and the dark figure and back at the castle. But even though it's kind of formulaic and repetitive in that way, I feel like it never really grows stale, because you always start in that center location and you don't know which direction you're going to go. And like you said, there's little things, there's limited interface. There's no compass. There's no, not really much in the way of the HUD. Your only navigation system is that sword, and only in sunlight.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Clark mentioned this a little bit, but I want to go dig in a little bit deeper about the actual colossi themselves, how each one is kind of like a unique encounter. And make no mistake about it, these, like on the PS2, when you encounter these Colossus, some of them are huge, and the scale is just like crazy. I had never really seen anything like this before when I
Right.
first played it. But each one is a puzzle that you have to try to figure out. So you have a couple things that you can pull out. You have your bow, your sword, and then maybe there's some water or some things in there, and you have to try to figure out each one individually.
Right.
And it boils down to it's like a boss rush where each boss is it's a Mike Tyson like, right?
Yes.
It's a Mike Tyson where you can like climb Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that was really striking. That was one of the first things I noticed too, was just the scale of these creatures
Scale,
on
yeah.
PS2. There was just nothing, at least I hadn't really ever played anything like that, where at the time I didn't really know that there was a term for it, but there's like no real transition. Like you get a little cutscene, but I don't feel like it's ever long enough to actually hide a loading time. So I don't know how that works, but it was just so incredible and unique that I can see that mountain way off in the distance. I can go straight there. There's no loading thing. At least it might be happening in the background. And then the same thing with the Colossus. You see him get up, and you could literally just run to the other side of the arena if you need to like stop and heal, and you could see this giant thing just like coming at you. And when you finally figure out how to scale it or defeat it or climb onto it, because not all of them, spoilers, are large in scale, but yeah, I just remember that first one. Once I started climbing up, I kept expecting like something to happen, like almost like a Final Fantasy transition, and then I'm in the boss, fight or engagement. But no, never happens.
And I just really appreciate the brevity of it all. I feel like we kind of pull this out, but like show don't tell, and this is the epitome of show don't tell. And I don't know if it's literally the first game with that scale. I guess when did God of War come out? It's probably around the same time, because God of War kind of had that scale with some of those big.
That's true.
But you weren't like climbing them or whatever. Usually off in the
No.
distance, like a big Colossus will like slam its hand down or whatever.
Right.
but-
Yeah, there were small instances. God of War 1 did come out before. I do remember playing that before I graduated, so I think it was a little bit before. God of War 2 did a little bit more. I think 2 had like a giant... actually, funnily enough, I think it was Colossus of Rhodes was the boss, and it was just this giant thing. But you're right, it was more like in the background, and it kind of, it wasn't all about scaling this giant thing.
Yeah.
This giant moving, living thing.
But I just want to emphasize, though, like how much I appreciated at this point in my life, the gameplay loop was pretty tight, 45-ish minutes to start, go and take down the Colossus, and then restart back at the castle. So,
Well, I think this might be a time to switch into I got a little game that we're going to play here now. So we're going to play the Colossal Bachelor game, the Colossus Bachelor game here with
Okay.
Cody. So
All right.
since each Colossal, for those who are not watching on YouTube, we have a picture of each of the Colossi back here. And
Glamour
each of them
shots.
have
Glamour
captured
shots.
each of them have captured Cody's heart in some way, right?
yeah,
Yes.
But
Yeah,
some more than others.
Yes,
you've been
exactly.
on a date with each of them, and you've had experience with each of them.
You've
So,
climbed
Yes.
you've climbed in some pretty private areas.
That is true.
for those of you watching on YouTube here, I have 4 roses here.
Okay.
We're gonna have a rose ceremony.
All right. And
You need to choose the 4 colossi and then talk to us a little bit about which one. So I'm going to give you
Okay.
your first rose here.
Now
All right.
the microphone might not be sensitive enough, so you need to put it up, sit back down, and then tell us about
Okay, what's the line again here?
Okay. You got to say yes. You got to ask them if they accept your
Okay,
rose.
let's see here. Number 1, I have been thinking about this, and actually I didn't think this part through.
Here, let me just kind of move this out of the way here.
Thank
Yeah.
you. This guy. I love this guy.
All right. So he's
Oh.
put the first rose on Colossus 1.
So
Minotaur A
Yes.
is thing.
it looks like he's accepting your rose.
Yes.
All right. Tell us a little
Okay.
bit about the Colossus 1, Minotaur A.
This one to me is just iconic. I believe it was on the cover. Yes, I believe that one is the one from the cover of the game. And he just sort of introduces you to the world and the rest of the Colossi. So my first love, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I will have to say my 9-year-old watched me fight the first one and was like devastated when I was sticking the sword into the weak
It's
points.
pretty-
It's like, what are you doing?
It's pretty violent.
Even kids can be like, why are you killing this creature?
Right.
They can kind of get that. And that's another feeling you get as you fight these things. That you feel like you're killing something that's...
Yeah, I think right up to the point, like, I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but right up to the point where I was first fighting the Colossus and climbing it, like, yeah, I'm doing it. Like, this is awesome. This guy's going down. But, like, right as you raise the sword, like, it, like, does this thing where it kind of, like, zooms in. I don't know if it literally slows down, but it, like, you can tell, like, he's, like, slowly and deliberately. And then that's the point, like, when it's like, wait, like, is this okay?
Right. Should I hit square again?
Yeah. All right, so that's the first rose. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and deliver your second rose here.
Okay.
That's right. Let's get this dramatic music
This
playing
one,
here.
I'll come back to the mic here in a second, but Colossus 3, the Knight, gets my next rose.
Oh,
If
Colossus
he accepts.
3.
Yes.
All right, why don't you come in and tell us a little bit about Colossus 3, the Knight.
Okay, the Knight, I just love this guy. If Minotaur A or Colossus 1 is like, my first love, the Knight is kind of like the really hot and really good looking girl that is terrible for you. I love this design so much because, number one,
Like
look
the
at those.
It's the duck lips.
It's the duck lips and it's the giant kind of beady eyes. And he kind of looks like a prisoner. I don't know why. I think it's a thing around his neck. And this was the
He's
first.
got a big sword, if you know what I mean.
Yes, he does. But yeah, so he's got the sword, and that was the first one. I remember, if I remember correctly, he kind of had a few different areas that you had to jump over to, and he was one. He's got a big freaking sword.
Yeah.
That's cool.
My comment on this guy is like, this is the first time where Dorman like actually speaks to you and gives you clues. At least I didn't encounter it in the other fights.
Yeah.
I think it's either based on time or if the game recognizes you're
Struggling.
Yeah.
And I didn't think the clue that he gave you was like relatively helpful either.
It's like you have to get around his armor. He's like armored.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what turns out is you have to like get him to swing his sword down on that middle like thing in the middle
To
of the
break
arena
his armor.
to break his
Right.
armor in order to climb up him.
Yeah, that one took me a little bit. Same reason. I didn't really understand. I could sort of tell just by the way that the animations were that I needed to use his sword to get onto him, but
Yeah.
I could never.
I did that too. I kept going up the sword and then I kept trying to jump off onto his body.
Yes, yep,
But
kind
you
of on his
couldn't
hip.
really do it. Like, and so, I mean, there's a lot of games like this, and this game falls prey to that too. Like, if you go down the wrong path, it's hard to tell that you're going down the wrong path. There's like not a lot of feedback. Like, am I not just making the jump correctly, or am I doing the whole thing? Like, the whole concept is wrong.
Right.
And so you don't know, and so you do struggle with that a little bit. And so there's probably about 4 or 5 times through this game where I looked up a solution online, and I would recommend that too. Like, there's no reason. Like, if you're not sure if you're either on the wrong path or you're not doing it right, just look it up, and it's fine. You don't need to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I actually did it for quite a bit of these because I didn't want to spend a lot of time. But anyways, let's go back to the rose ceremony.
Okay. Next rose.
Next rose. All right. Who's going to get rose number 3?
One is going to.
Remember to ask if they accept your rose.
Yes. Oh, gosh. I have like 3 in my mind. Okay. Colossus 5, will you accept this rose?
It looks like Colossus 5 Bird has accepted your rose. All right, let's talk about Colossus 5. And why is it called Bird?
So, it flies. That's why I love it. It's the first one. The first one you see
It
that
kind of flips the
is
script,
airborne.
right? Like, everything else is like big and slow and lumbering, but this one, like, airborne.
Yeah, and it's this one I first got the sense that these colossi were intelligent, because this one sort of creeped me out a little bit, because when you start out, it's just sort of perched on that column, And this is also, I believe, the first one where you have to sort of lure it out or corner it in some way or get it to do something. I guess the sword is, the knight is kind of the same way, but this one just felt...
This is the one that like you actually have to get to come to you in order. So you're
it's like a lake.
Yeah, and you have to
like
shoot it with your bow and try to get it to come to where you are, so you can jump up.
And it swoops down to and that's when you jump onto its wing.
Yeah.
Right. And I struggled with this one. I remember when I first played, because I was shooting him. I wasn't standing in the right place.
Yeah,
those little platforms in the water.
Yeah, because he's got kind of on his, I guess what they would be shoulders, when he finally swoops down, he sort of is lining it up for you. And if you're standing on that platform, that's where you have to basically jump from stationary and just grab on and get taken up in the air. And I just remember the first time that happened, I was like, I figured it out. And then the music is swelling, and you're like I said, I'm squeezing that grab button because I do not want to fall off. I know that there's water, but I don't want to think about swimming. And, so that one really gave me a big rush the first time.
All right. Well, you have one rose there. Yes. And so this is the final one, the most important one? Who knows?
Who's going to be left out in the cold?
All right. The last rose going
the
to...
last rose. Now, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here. Last rose.
What?
Will you accept?
It's off the board. So this could mean a couple different
Is this for
things.
Dorman?
So, for audio listeners, there's a grid of all 16. We got a 4x4 grid. This rose goes to the 17th fabled mythic Colossus for sort of two reasons. And like I said, I'm being a little cheeky with this one, but two reasons I'm going with 17 is just because of the mystery of this game and the community and the search for secrets. And I remember about 2007 or 8, listen to the old podcasts on oneup.com and forums and online. That was like the search for the 17th Colossus, and there were little clues in the game, and just due to the nature of it, it's I don't know, you just get curious about what's really going on. And the creator has I think he said officially that he puts a lot of kind of symbolism and things into the game, but I want to give it just sort of a shout out to that whole aspect of this game, because it has a really cool secret hunting community. And then the other reason I gave it to this, I made this choice is for all of the cut colossi. Because they're originally supposed to be 48, which just blows
It went
my
from
mind.
48 to 24 to 16.
Yes, yeah. And while the world does feel empty, I think some of the community members later on found out, or they sort of deduced that some of those places, or a lot of those places, were just arenas that were supposed to be used for these cut characters.
Especially the 24, because when they went first into production, they had settled on 24. And it wasn't until later in production they had to cut. And you can go see the concept arts and things for those cut colossi.
There's really cool ones.
Yeah, and then people have sussed out where they might have been on the map, and areas and they could have been.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So cheeky pick, I know, but yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of cool stuff that you get when creators just don't, they trust their audience and they don't need to spell things out. And so, I mean, I don't think that a lot of media, like movies these days, when they feel the need to stop and explain everything to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess so. If you're trying to be a blockbuster mega hit movie, you do need to appeal to even the casual fans and even to the people who, but this is just definitely it's appreciating and it doesn't take for granted the intelligence or the curiosity of its audience.
Yeah, I think since we're here, we might as well talk about the PS4 remake of this game, how they nodded to that 17th Colossus.
Yes.
Yeah, they had, what was it, 49 points that you could find?
71.
71?
Yeah, 70. Yeah, it's
So-
over
so-
70. And I think they were just like
They even
points of
call
light
out like
or
the
something.
YouTuber that like was way into it.
Yeah.
So they actually kind of got cheeky themselves, because what you were saying in the credits of the remaster, they thank one of those community members with a clue to that secret, and then it ends up being you find these things all over. So that is sort of a new item unique to the remaster, which is pretty cool. And then I was going to ask, actually, on the remaster, you can unlock additional gear through the time attack mode. Was that in the PS2 version as well? Because I never
think
ended
so.
up
Well,
doing
there's
that.
at least a time attack mode.
There's the time.
I didn't
do
that.
this,
Okay.
but I watched. You can get like exploding arrows, and you can get stronger sword.
And
Cloak.
even on the PS2 version, I don't know because
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
But hopefully I'm not wrong, because I know there are people who love this game and are screaming at me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
I was just never good at the time attack mode. I was always more of just a kind of curious wander around, and then there's always a point of kind of sitting there studying the colossi, trying to figure out what to do. I never really got into the time attack stuff myself.
All right. So before we go to break, I just want to give Clark a chance to shout out one of the Colossuses that he seems needs a shout out here.
Oh man. I mean,
One of the Colossi.
all of them are pretty good in some way. Like, I just honorable mention to Narga. I put him on here with his little derpy face because Cameron in our group chat took a screenshot of that and sent it to us.
It's like, and it says, "You have died."
Yeah.
And it has that face. It has this like gleaming face that's staring at you.
So that's just an honorable mention. But I want to call out the small ones.
There's
There's
two of
there's
them.
two small ones. There is Leo here, and he was pretty annoying at first, but he was annoying at first, but I loved how cute he was when you were backing away from your fire.
Yeah.
And so to me that was actually one of the biggest surprises is like you've at this point you've killed 10 giant colossi, and then you come in and there's this little guy, and he destroyed me. He was more aggro than anyone else, and he destroyed me.
He's not much bigger than aggro, so he's pretty
Yeah. So, but yeah, you get the fire and you back him down, and he's like scared.
Yeah.
He's like a keeper of the fire. So that's mine. Who would you call out, Cam?
Probably. I mean, I think I enjoyed the Colossus 13 snake, the flying one. It's another flying one, but this time you have to like shoot down it has like these like sacks. You have to shoot down the sacks and get it to tip down, and so you tip down one side, and then you have to jump up and grab onto it.
I didn't
really
realize
enjoyed
this
that one.
until later, but I was watching a YouTube video or something, and he's the only Colossus that doesn't actively attack you. Like he has no attacks.
Oh,
He doesn't attack
but
you.
if
at
you
all.
fall off and you die,
you can get hurt if you fall off. But he'll try to shake you off. But he's not like actively attacking you, and he's like, in fact, you have to like go to him to jump on him and get him to come down and stuff. He's never like going at you at all.
yeah. Well, like I said, there's 16 of these guys, and they're all different, and I think they're awesome. One last shout out to the final. The 16 one, because he's actually pretty tough.
That would have got my fourth rose. That was my other choice,
Yeah.
just because he's a moving castle.
And he's huge. He's the biggest
huge.
one of them.
Yeah.
And he's basically he's like a castle. He's like a structure.
And there's like lightning and rain.
he
Yes.
shoots these homing missiles, and you have to follow this path in order to get to him. It's a really great climax to the game too. So. All right, well, I think we'll take a break now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the finish to this story, how it ends up, and our final thoughts on this. back from our break now, and we're gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the story, about what happens after you finish defeating all these colossi. And I want to hand this off to Cody. So, talk a little bit about story-wise, what's going on here.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Number one, that aggro scene. So sad. That one got me. I was not expecting that.
There is a cutscene that comes a little bit earlier, like maybe 3/4 of the way, that you get to see that kind of pushes the story a little bit. Maybe we can talk about that little cutscene.
I do remember seeing, I think after 10, you get an extra little bit after
Is it
defeating
10?
that, I think, yeah.
That's probably about right, where you see the party come in.
Yeah,
Yes.
you see the elders from your village started riding in, chasing after you.
Yeah.
From your village, you guess. I mean,
You assume,
you
yeah.
assume.
So
That's right.
let's talk a little bit. As you're defeating the Colossus, it becomes clear that you're being chased. The elders come, and they're coming to try to stop you.
In fact, Dorman tells you they're
yeah,
coming.
and then Dorman does tell you gotta as you like. I think even before you fight the last one, he says you better hurry. They're almost here.
That's
So
right.
he tells you that, and then you also notice as you're defeating these colossi that your appearance is changing. Did you guys? When did you guys start noticing that?
Not until right towards the very end.
Yeah.
I
same
think
here.
about 13 or 14, you can kind of notice you start getting, you have like these black splotches on your face, and you can actually start seeing little horns coming out of your head. It's a little hard to notice on the PS2. My kid brought this to my attention, and then so I was playing on the PS2, but I actually played some on the remaster also. So, yeah, you could probably, I'm sure you could notice it better on the remaster. So
Yeah, I didn't get that far. I didn't look at that one. I didn't finish the remaster, so.
So it's clear that you're defeating these colossi, and then someone's coming to try to stop you. So
I mean, I can kind of recap what happens here a little bit.
why don't you recap it for us, Clark?
So you take down the last one, last Colossus. You get reborn again, and at the location, and right at that time, the party of the elders come in, right? And they see what's going on, and they're like, oh, well, we need to kill him. So they actually, like, shoot him with an arrow, and, like, you're all black at this point, like, because now you are... Again, you have to kind of make the assumptions here, and I'm going to make some assumptions here, but, you know, the priest kind of explains that, like, you know, they had sealed Dorman off. And what you had actually been doing is you had been releasing the sealed portions of Dorman, and those tendrils that have been coming into you are the portions of Dorman. And so now, with the final seal broken, Dorman is fully inside of you. And I think the priest kind of recognizes this and tells you, like, hey, like, there's no hope for him, you know, kill him. So they shoot you with an arrow, and then they come and they stab you with the sword. And that's obviously not the end, because then Dorman fully takes control of your wanderer's body. And what's kind of interesting is he's actually kind of respectful. He's like, he refers to you as a warrior. Like, I have borrowed this. He says, I have borrowed this warrior's body.
Yeah.
And so you control Dorman for all of about 60 seconds, and you're like trying to like stop these priests.
You're like a big colossus.
Yeah, you're the Colossus, and you're trying to stop these priests. These priests succeed, though, and they get away, and they take the sword that was your sword and throw it into this little kiddie pool, and that kiddie pool seals you back up and sucks you into this pool. And you find out later, though, that Dorman, like, the priests leave, and as they're running away, like, the bridge is collapsing, and they make some sort of reference like, hey, you know, if you're still in there, we hope that you can find some sort of peace, like, I guess referencing Wanderer if you're still in there.
Yeah.
But at that point, you realize that Dorman held up his end of the bargain, and Mono gets up from the pedestal, goes and finds baby with horns.
That's
like
right. Yes.
In
the kiddie pool.
In the kiddie pool, yeah.
And a lot of it's not really explained. Like, are you supposed to think that this is Wanderer Reborn, or is it like baby Dorman?
That's kind of what I took from it, is that like, okay, here's baby Dorman, and he's resurrected Mono to raise you, and you're going to lord over the Forbidden Kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it.
So I want to pick something up from there, from something what you said earlier. So like I had like a mix of emotions as I was playing this game, because you said like, you know, you feel like the baddie as you're doing it, but then like this ending like totally like flips that on its head. You're like, okay, well, maybe I was the baddie, like taking down these creatures, but I guess these creatures were actually just vessels of Dorman. And is Dorman really the bad guy? Because Dorman, does he ever actually deceive you in this game?
No, I was going to say he, like you said, he holds up his end of the bargain. I think maybe through omission, he probably could have told you more, but I don't think he ever really truly deceives you.
He tells you that there's going to be a hefty price to pay.
That is true.
And
that is true. I guess more so along
and
the
Wanderer
lines of
doesn't
the
second
ending.
guess it. He just doesn't want to hear the details.
Right. Yeah. He's so laser focused.
And so, I
He
mean,
does kind of become a tragic character.
Yeah, I mean, what a wild ending. It's all up to interpretation, too. Like, you don't really, like, if there was an antagonist in this game, I guess on the surface it seems like Dorman is the antagonist. But you could paint Wanderer as the antagonist. You could even
the outsiders.
Yeah, the priest that comes in, you could paint them as the antagonist. So, like, I don't know, it's just so fascinating.
I think it's actually pretty brilliant storytelling, because there's no hard line, and it's all left up to interpretation, and you can have all kinds of discussions on like where you want, what you think, and how you feel about this, and I think it's great. So
I love the ending. I remember when I first saw it, because I don't think, I'm trying to remember before this game came out if it was just known as sort of the spiritual successor to Eco, or if it was kind of marketed as something totally different. But
I don't think it was ever really marketed as such, but people drew immediate lines to it.
Right, yeah, especially that, the ending, of course. And so I think one of the consensus is that either becomes, he takes on the curse, and then that Shadow is kind of like a prequel to Eco.
Yeah.
And that baby is either Eco or most likely like the same race or the same cursed fate.
And I heard other people speculating, I haven't played Eco, that Mono is the queen.
Yeah, Yorda. So, well, not Yorda.
Becomes the queen?
Yeah, because I remember another thing too that was one of the first sort of through lines and similarities is after you defeat each Colossus, you see those shadowy figures lording over you. And there's a lot of like black and white symbology, especially in Eco, because you're fighting shadows. And Yorda, your companion, is in all white, and then there's this evil queen. And then in this, you've got those black tendrils that immediately come out, and then those shadowy figures standing over you. So I kind of started to think, oh, maybe it's just sort of an homage to Eco. But then you see the horned baby, and it's like, I remember starting to kind of think back more on the game, and like, was maybe the location in Eco somewhere around here? Is this a precursor? I just started thinking about all the little subtleties and the geography and all the little clues that Dorman has said, and I'm like, is this directly related, or is this Ueda being ambiguous?
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to your own imagination, and there's some, if you want to get like down rabbit holes, there's a whole like subculture of YouTube that you could go down, people going down these theories and things like that. I will say, like, be prepared for really pretentious, like, high-minded videos where people they get their serious voice on.
Yes, exactly.
I think in our case, if you're coming at this new and stuff like that, I think just come into it fresh and enjoy the story, and and to take what you want out of it. I think that was the intention of the game too. It's not to give too much background and stuff like that. It's like you're filling in the pieces.
And it's like you said, nobody's directly good or bad. Everything is so vague.
Yeah.
You don't know if the colossi are bad or good. You don't know if you are bad or good. How did mono come to be that way in the first place? So everything is just so unclear. So there's a lot of room for interpretation, which is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, just I like the way you put it, Cam. Just come to your own conclusions, and then if you want to trip down the rabbit hole of YouTube or whatever, there's a lot of things to grab a hold of.
Intersecting points and flying birds.
Like the masculinity, femininity stuff. I don't know if you guys went down any of those.
A little bit of that.
Because when you hear Dorman talk, there's like
both a masculine and a
but by the end of it, there's only masculine.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and so there's like these theories about how, like, as he's filling you up with like the masculine side, the feminine, gentle side is bringing life back to mono. Like, there's all of these theories that you could go down, and
it's pretty layered, and a lot of them are nothing's definitive,
Yeah.
but there's some pretty good ones out there that sort of relate to the runes and the flora and fauna and why you're the only one there, and there's a lot of really cool things that you could argue some of them.
And that's the beauty of this kind of a game. It doesn't explicitly lay it out to you, and it's,
Yep. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up and give up our verdicts here. So ultimately, we didn't talk too much about them. We talked a little bit about the music, but is there anything you want to mention really quick about music and score? Clark, you
just dynamic. Like, it is, like, there's really almost, I don't think there's any music when you're riding to the colossi. It's just quiet.
Yeah, I think there's very faint strings and things like that when you kind of hit that first cutscene that you kind of know, okay, I've made it to where I'm supposed to be, but yeah. And
I will just say that
builds.
it's just perfect. Like,
so
the music, when you, like, especially when you jump on the first Colossus and it's like epic, and the way, like I said, it's contextual about where you're at in the current encounter that you have, and if you fall off, it goes quiet again. When you jab that last stab into the Colossus and he goes down, it cuts the music out.
Right, yeah.
In some, like, it's just masterful, like, sound design all around. And I do need to pick up and, like, listen to the music individually. I haven't really done that yet. I just can say that, like contextually, it's perfection.
Yeah, just back in 2005 too, the scale of the game, the vibe, the music is perfect for it. That first time you get on the high flying bird, not the first bird, but the second one, just finally figuring out how to get on there, and then the music always swells at the perfect time, and you're I think by that point, I don't think you had been to a desert yet. Maybe you had, but it's just every location is different. It's just, I don't know, it's so unique. It's so formulaic, right? You're doing the same thing over again, but I don't know. It's all of it works together. It's so layered, and it all works together perfectly.
All right, let's ultimately wrap this up here. So this game, a lot of people will say they're the best game of the PS2. There are many people who will say that, and there are some who will disagree. But we're gonna put our stamp on this and how we feel about this 20-year-old game today. So we have a scale that we do basically 1 through 6, where 6 would be like, yeah, this is a game that would be one of the best games if it was made today. Now, this game has been remade, but that remake was 7 years ago.
7 or 8 years ago.
7 or 8 years ago. So even that remake's a little bit old too. All right, and then 5 is like, yeah, this is a good game, and it's still great today. All the way down to like 0 or like 1, where it's like, this wasn't even a good game back in the day. So you guys think about that for a second, what grade you want to give it, and I want you to explain why that's your answer. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Clark.
Okay, well, I've given it some thought. I'm going to give it a high grade. So I think this is probably going to be the highest grade that I've given up to this point. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's been remade. Actually, I think even the PS2 version holds up to this day. And judging, I haven't played the remake, but judging by some of the videos and things I've watched on it, I think the PS4 remaster or remake.
It's very faithful.
It's very faithful. I do think that the high definition does change some of the vibes a little bit. I think the PS2 version seems a little bit more. I mean, and maybe I was playing a CRT. It seems a little bit more obviously muddy, but I think that sort of.
I thought it enhanced it a little.
Yeah,
bit,
I think that
that's just my
that enhances
personal.
it a little bit too. So don't discount the PS2 version either.
Mhm.
Like you can't go wrong though.
Mhm.
From what I've seen of the PS4 version, it's still really great. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a surprise. Like this is a game that they've chosen to remake. They brought back, and that held up. And the gameplay loop is probably the best of any of the games that we've played so far. Like, I'm gonna give it a 5.5. Like I'm not saying it's a perfect game.
That is the
Nice.
highest grade you've given so far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a perfect game. I can sit here and list some gripes
Right.
on it. Like there's a couple times where I was basically animation locked. Like
Oh.
a colossi would hit me over, and then before I could even get back up, it was already charging me, hitting me over again. So I can pick at some nits if I wanted to, but whatever. Like this is my kind of game. Mysterious. Take what you want out of it. Good gameplay loop, and ultimately just pretentious to talk about and fun.
Yes.
All right, Cody. Let's
Oh,
get your opinion.
man.
here.
So remember that I first played this game when I was 18. Those are like, some pretty formative years. So my heart wants to say 6, but I am going to be a little bit more realist. And man, I've gone back and forth, but I'm going to say 5 because I do think that the story holds up, the characters and how all of that plays out, I think holds up. I think the camera I fought with a lot, and because it doesn't function like camera controls in modern games. It's still that sort of rubber bandy camera, right? So if I'm holding right on the stick, it's not constantly moving. It's just sort of going.
Yeah,
I
there were
don't know how
some
to
times where
explain it.
aiming with the bow was really a pain, especially if they were like behind you.
Yes, yeah, that's the other one. And then the only other reason I wouldn't give it a 6 would be I just lost it. But the camera, number one, I just sort of fought with that. And then some of the controls could probably be cleaned up today if it was
The
developed today.
PS4 version's controls are much better.
It does, yeah, that is true.
much
You can
better.
customize them too, and I don't think you could in the older game.
No,
other than
you
inverting
couldn't.
camera.
Yeah,
maybe.
you could invert cameras and stuff like that, which I went and did.
Yeah.
But the biggest one that I thought was good with the PS4 version was the dedicated roll button.
Yes,
because you
right.
don't have a dedicated
to.
roll button on the PS2
You have to do 2 buttons.
You
at
have
the
to
same
push
time.
2 buttons.
Yeah,
at the same
that's
time.
true. And it was kind of an awkward 2 buttons. I think it
Well,
was
is,
R1 and circle.
Yeah, R1 and triangle.
Triangle. Yeah, I don't know, but I just remember too. The other thing sort of goes back to what you were saying with kind of the animations. It's some of the AI got a little bit frustrating, especially some of them just getting to do what you need them to do, and they just won't, even though you know how to trigger it. You maybe just aren't in the right exact spot, or maybe not the right timing. So camera and then that sort of AI stuff, I think, is the only reason I wouldn't give it a 6, but my heart wants to give it a 6.
I want to be the dissenter here because we're also agreeable about this game, and that's what happens when you choose these stone cold classics.
Yeah.
People love this game for a reason, and in order to make interesting content, we might need to have disagreements here. But I feel like we're just, hey, this is an echo chamber. This game is great. And that's what it is. This game is great.
Yep.
And I think what's great about this game, for me, everything that you guys have said, I agree with. But will I go back and play this game? And that is an absolute yes. I love this game that I played through this time. I had fun. I started playing through the PS4 version, and you know what? I got through 5 of the 5 of the Colossi and the PS5 version. I'm going to go back and I'm going to beat all of them on the PS4 version. Because even though I already beat it on the PS2 version, that game is awesome. It's fun. And what Clark said about the ability to sit down, play for a little bit, and put it down when you're done with that is perfect for us when we have the dad ADD and we don't
Yeah.
have time to do all this stuff.
Right.
There's not a lot of characters to forget about, like
Yeah.
names
True.
and stuff. I struggle with that. That's why it's so hard for me
Story's
to
perfect.
get into modern RPGs is because
Yeah.
like I'll come back to an RPG and I don't remember this guy's
Yeah,
name.
you don't know where you're at in the quest or
There's
who you
like
need
5
to talk
names
to.
to remember in this game.
Right, and you always know at which point in the quest you are. You just hold your sword up, tell you right where to go.
Yeah, do the Gandalf. Like you put the Gandalf
Exactly,
gif.
the Gandalf.
gif. Yeah.
So I'm going to split you guys, and I'm going to go 5.25.
Oh, okay, nice.
So let's go ahead and divide that by 3.
It's gonna be 5.25.
It's 5.25. That's the verdict for TwinCast here. So 5.25.
5.25.
That is, I'm positive that is the highest grade we've ever given, and honestly, it deserves it. So it's a great game.
Do you guys also feel like talking about Shadow of the Colossus, anybody watching or listening right now, there's going to be so many things. You didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about that.
There's
you didn't talk about
tons
this.
of things. We didn't even talk about the glowing-tailed lizards.
No,
Right?
or the fruit.
or the fruit, or any of that stuff. But
And there's a parachute. Did you
yeah,
guys
yeah,
know?
there's a parachute you can unlock. But
It's so layered.
if you haven't played this game, I know we probably spoiled it for you. Go back and play this game. If you played it before, go play it again. It's fun. It's a great game. So.
Even if you know what's going to happen, it's kind of so layered and open for interpretation that you kind of come up with, your own. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just see it in a new way. Even if you know the events that will play out, you could still gather a lot out of it because it is so layered and vague and ambiguous.
Yeah, what an awesome game. What an awesome experience. Like experiences like this are few and far between. I don't know if there's really any analog like today for games like
man.
this. Are there any like similar games to this today?
To me, I would say Elden Ring. That comes really close, but I honestly think Shadow of the Colossus would be like on the Mount Rushmore of games that you just wish you could play for the first time again.
Yeah.
This one's got to be up there, right?
Well, in Elden Ring, like that's a game that I do want to get to, but I've always had a hard time like getting
Yeah.
into those Souls-like games just because sort of the dad mentality that we talked about. Like I don't have the get good mentality, and so it feels like it would probably fail that part for me.
You don't
It's
need to
on
get
you.
good at this
There's
game.
really not
No.
much getting good at Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, and that one's sort of on the other end of the spectrum as far as being approachable, right? Shadow of the Colossus is pretty approachable. You just start off and it's go, Colossus 1.
Yeah.
Elden Ring's not as approachable. There's a lot of stats to understand and all of that, but I think it is sort of on the same page with just the world building, this cohesive environment, showing and not telling. There's a lot of that in Elden Ring too. So I think that's why.
Another game I think might fit the bill, and I haven't gotten to it, is the Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
I haven't played that yet
I
either.
like I've heard it described to me in some podcasts and things, but I haven't played it. But I like the mystery that it tells in that game sounds really interesting, and so that's something I want to get to. So maybe something like that might
Yeah.
compare, but I haven't played it, so I don't know.
I also hear a lot of love for Baldur's Gate. being
I've
a huge
played
one.
that for about 2 hours.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
I run into the same problem when I was talking about remembering names and places.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yes.
So I think what we've learned here is if you are a parent or an older person that has old person ADD, this is a perfect game.
Yeah.
And you talk about your kids getting into it.
Yeah,
My
kids love
daughter
it.
came in and was watching me play it a few times.
Yeah.
I actually got kind of annoyed because I was like explaining like the mystery to the game, and she just like pulls up her phone and like, "Oh, Dad, guess what's gonna happen?" Like, don't tell me.
These kids are so spoiled with their internets nowadays. I guess
Yeah.
I guess even in 2005 you had the internets and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
can spoil
But
it.
even she was like really impressed, like from what she saw in the study. So I think like, and she would be considered Gen Z, and I think that like it works for that generation too.
I think this is a pretty good. I think this would also pass the wife/girlfriend or partner test, right?
Yeah.
This is a really good one to kind of have a watcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one that passed that one the most for me was Uncharted 4, by the way. Like my whole family watched me play that game.
Oh, nice.
That's
you
got a
under-
while before it's retro, right? So-
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, it's 8 years old. So
Oh,
by
man.
by some people's definition of 10 years, it'll be there soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Cody, for joining us
Of course,
today.
always. a
This is an
pleasure.
awesome discussion. So, again, Simpsons arcade game next time.
Yep.
I'm excited about that. And until then, thanks for joining us.
you get reborn again, and
Distance.
Like a fist.
yeah, like maybe about this.
Fist. Hello, fisting.